Everyone dreams of having their perfect setup, but no one knows where to start. Luckily, I, Awesome Jojo, will show you the first step of building your dream setup, which is planning. But before we hop into how to plan your setup, let me thank you for clicking on this video and tell you that this channel is about how to build your setup step by step and other tech related videos. So if you want to see the end product, make sure you hit that sub button. Anyway, the first and most important thing you need to do when building a setup is find the space you will put it. This is important because you need to measure how much space you have to plan out your setup. Here is where my setup will be. As you can see, it's very messy when I'll work on cleaning it up. When you look for a place to build a setup, you need to take many things into account. And those things are amount of space available, wall color, temperature of the room, wall outlet placement, and what kind of floor you have. You also need to think of what the setup will be used for. You need to know if it's going to be used for work, content creation, or gaming. Make sure you spend plenty of time on this step because if you mess any of this up, the rest of your setup won't work out. The next thing you need to do is plan out your budget. A budget is important for several reasons. The first reason you should set up a budget before shopping is so you know where you should put a majority of your money toward. A budget gives you a tangible goal to work toward, and it's very easy to track your progress. When you're making a budget, start thinking about what you're going to put in your setup and if you need money for a high-end PC or a console. Once you have an idea of the overall amount of money you're willing to spend on your setup, split it up into categories like this. 40% of your budget should go toward a PC or console. 20% of your budget should be spent on furniture, such as a desk or a chair. 10% of your budget should be spent on a monitor that suits your needs. 7.5% of your budget should be spent on headphones and speakers. 5% should be spent on power strips and other things. 5% should be spent on lighting and personalization. And the last 10% should be spent on peripherals like your keyboard and mouse. I base these percentages off of a $2,000 budget, but you can change the budget and percentages to your needs. Once you have your budget set up, you need to start focusing on the exact things you need to buy for your setup. The first thing I will show you to do is get a custom PC. There are many different things you can use a PC for, so first identify what it will be used for. If you're using it for video editing, get a high quality one, and if you're using it for gaming, get a lower quality one. The website you need to use to get a backbone for your PC build is Skytech Gaming. There are many custom PC builders out there, but this one's the easiest to use. Here is a tutorial. Alright, so if you search Skytech Gaming in Google, this should be the first website that pops up. So once you're in here, go up here to Custom PC Builder, click it, and then just press Get Started. When you load in, it's gonna look like this. And the reason you use this website is just to find the main different kinds of parts you're gonna use for your build. You can change your CPU depending on what you're doing, like gaming or video editing, but you can just use this as a backbone for the different kinds of CPUs you can get, all of these. And what I don't usually use a lot of these things, but I use it to kind of find what the stuff that I'll need. So like you can always just like find the stats and then change the brand to fit your aesthetic of the thing better. Like some of these motherboards don't work with the stuff that I wanted to get, so I had to change that. And you can just go through and pick all of these different ones. And I didn't even pick any of these ones either. I also just found how many watts I needed and then found a specific one. And then same thing for storage. Storage, really, you can use these ones. Storage isn't as hard to find. Once you finish that, search PC part picker, and once you go in, enter all the parts you put in your cart, so you can see the cheapest place to buy the items and if they are all compatible with each other. You can even add in peripherals like monitors to make the budgeting easier, but I don't recommend that because the selection isn't as good as Amazon. The next thing you need to find is a good desk. The desk is the backbone of your setup, so make sure you build your color scheme around your desk. When buying a desk, you need to take 4 things into account: how much space it takes up, the weight limit, the desk use, and color. Your desk will be the backbone of the aesthetic realm of your setup, so make sure you find a good color. There are several ways to find a good desk, but these are the best ones. The first way to find a desk is through Amazon or a desk website. Amazon has many basic options, but it lacks the customizability and options unlike a dedicated desk website. The way I will be getting my desk is through IKEA. You can do the classic desktop with 4 legs, desktop on 2 legs with an Alex drawer, a desktop on top of 2 Alex drawers, or a desk that already comes with all the parts. I love the customizability of these desks, and I'll personally be getting this desk with 2 Alex drawers and also some furniture risers. Keep in mind, when you buy from IKEA, you will have to build it yourself. When buying a desk, get a better one than you'll initially need, so when you upgrade your setup in the future, you don't have to change your desk out as well. Another big part of your setup is the monitor. You'll need to find a monitor that will fit on your desk and have the right settings you need. Before you shop for a monitor, you should know what these terms mean. Hertz, or HZ, is how many times your monitor refreshes per second, or your FPS. And resolution is how in depth the screen will be. 1080p is the average screen, 1440p is a little bit more than 1080p, and 4K is generally the best monitor out there. For gaming, you should have at least a 144Hz monitor with a HD screen. For content creation, get at least a 60Hz monitor with a 1080p screen. But I do prefer 4K for editing. Now let's move on to the more fun part of planning your setup, peripherals. For a keyboard, I recommend a $60-ish option. They're usually good quality and pretty nice. For gaming mice, I recommend Razer or Logitech. Both of them I have used in the past and they both have good budget options. For mouse pads, you can't really go wrong, but I'll be getting a new mouse pad from TechSource's shop. They have many options to choose from and I love all of them. Edgar, if you're watching this video, I would love it if you sent out a mouse pad to me. For speakers, you should go with the Creative Pebble Minis because they are cheap and good quality. I will personally be getting a Google Nest Mini as my speaker because I don't use speakers much and I love the capabilities it has. For headphones, just use any of the options out there as long as it's over $60. If you're gaming, I recommend picking up a headset with a mic built into it, but if you're doing content creation like me, just get a normal pair of headphones and a boom arm mic like this. And if you're wondering what mic I use, I have the Blue Yeti X, which is really nice overall. Some other things you should consider getting for your setup include a digital wall clock, surge protected power strip, monitor mount, and more storage. Now let's talk about lighting and decoration. None of these things are necessary for a setup, but they can really enhance your experience. First, I'll talk about lighting. I will mostly be using these Govee lights for my setup, and that's what I recommend for many people. I'm going to run a light strip along the back and bottom of the desk to light up the floor and back of the wall. I will also be putting a strip on the back of my monitor to light up the wall as well. Now let's talk about personalization. When you make your setup, don't make it too cluttered. Things I'll put in my setup include collectibles, childhood memories, things you love, and posters. An example of something I'll put in my setup is my sword. I would put it in my setup because I used to take karate classes with it and it looks cool. I will also be using Funko Pops, collectibles, Pokemon cards, and a few other things in my setup. The last thing you need to do is make a model of what your setup will look like. This is important so you can have a visual of what your setup will look like overall. It will help you build your setup and better decide what to put in it. You can either use a 3D model website or just sketch it out on a piece of paper. One thing you should think of when modeling your setup is color theme. My theme is going to be black and white, but you can do whatever you want. If you need inspiration for your setup, I recommend watching Gutsy Aiden or TechSource because I do many setup reviews that inspire me to build my own setup. Planning is the most important part of building your setup, so put time and effort into your build. If you want me to show you how to put that plan into action, subscribe so you can see the future videos that I will make on how to build a setup. Jesus loves you and I hope you have an awesome day.